What's up, everybody, and welcome back. I'm your host, Matt, and I'm joined by my good friend, Ryan. We've teased it on our socials all day, but the tides have officially changed. What once was RIFC Nation is now Tide Talk, baby. To make it extra special and not go it alone, we've decided to expand our team as we've added two new partners to the regular fold. You know him as the Fluffy Quahog boy. Let's bring in Kevin Stream here up on Tide Talk. Kevin was our reason we're a little late. He's got some audio lagging issues there, so I apologize for the echo. But Kevin, how's it going?
Doing good, man. How you guys doing?
Very good.
Hey, listen, I don't want to take up a bunch of time here. I want to let you guys do your thing. But thanks for having me. Thanks for this collaboration. I think what I really wanted to say is that aside from the dumpster fire that happened last night, there was a lot of good conversations had between you, Ryan, myself, and somebody else who I'm sure will come on a little bit later.
Let's get him on.
All right, there he is.
You know him as Miles. It's Scott. Scott, what's up, man? Thanks for staying up late.
Not at all. This is I think it's going to be a really good collaboration. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be something to distract us from what happened yesterday. I think the words dumpster fire have been used, and I think you're not going far enough. But yeah, I'm keen to talk through this game, and I'm keen to go forward with this partnership. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be good stuff. I'm going to kick it back to Kevin because I know Kevin's battling these technology issues, but we'll get them kind of sorted out and figured out as we go. And we're really excited for this to go on. But before I do go to Kevin and kind of kick it around the panel to talk a little bit about what we got in store for you guys, I do think it's worth noting that nothing is going to change for you, the listener. If you listen to our show or you watch our show or if you follow us on social media, think of this as essentially a cosmetic change. We're going to change the name to all the accounts. The logo will be updated and all of that. Our match review episodes will continue to roll out roughly 24 hours after each match. And we will try to get an away end episode with a fan, podcast host, or a supporters group member from the opposing team about 48 hours ahead of each away match. And we actually have somebody lined up tomorrow. So stay tuned and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you have not already. And I think the big important piece of this all that a lot of people will be wondering, the Call Hog Corner is not going anywhere either. The Call Hog Corner is staying. So make sure you're following Kevin. Make sure you're following us on Twitter. We might just be running it from the Tide Talk account now, which was formerly the RIFC Nation account. And then if you are a podcast listener to us and you've never heard the Call Hog Corner, the Call Hog Corner audio will be distributed through our podcast channel as well. So hopefully it'll bring it to even more people. So I think the biggest change you will notice is you might see and hear all of us a little bit more, which to quote Gennaro Gattuso, sometimes this may be good, sometimes maybe shit, right? Like that might be what it is depending on what you think of us.
Not bad.
You like that? That's the Italian in me. I could pass on Blackstone tonight. So things are all fucked up in my neck of the woods. I think it's going to be great. So it's just a little bit of rebranding and redistributing under a new umbrella. We also kind of wanted to separate a little bit from and get the RIFC label out of our account in our name just to kind of protect what we do because we have a blast doing that. So we don't want to piss anyone off and have the club eventually come to us and say like, hey, you got to change that name. You can't do that. You can't operate under us. We've seen it happen with a few of our other guests and their logos and stuff like that. So just kind of protecting what we do and trying to expand what we do and just really bring a new presence to you guys. But we want to offer a truly unique combined media presence for the fans, by the fans. That's really our goal with this one. And hopefully this just helps you enhance your support of Rhode Island FC, brings you closer to other fans, connects you to other fans, and that's really what we're hoping for. Each episode will be available on YouTube, and if you're watching now, please take a second to subscribe to the channel and click the like button on this video. And you can also find us, and now the Call Hog Corner, on your favorite podcast applications like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you listen to one of those, we'd really appreciate it if you took a minute to leave us a 5-star rating and a short review, as it helps more people find our podcast. So cozy up, crack a bear, turn on the Celtics, and let's dive into this one. I'm going to go to Kevin first. Kevin, we will all mute to give you that time, so hopefully this all works out. But talk about what I know I kind of cut you off as we brought Scott on, but talk about this partnership and what we're kind of looking out for in the future.
Thanks, Matt. Can everyone hear me good? You guys good? Wow, look at that. See, even I can figure out technology. Yeah, look, so this collaboration is something that kind of came about. You know, it was something I was thinking about, but for me, it was about seeing you guys create things like RIFC in 3 and the good, the bad, and ugly. Those are like really great segments, and they're things that I just wasn't quick enough to think about on the Quahog Corner. And I love them. I enjoy it, and I think bringing the brands together and creating a media group that is uniquely Rhode Island for fans, by fans, is something special. There are tons of other media outlets out there covering soccer throughout all of New England, but this group here is going to be just for Rhode Island. There's going to be no outside noise, no other people getting involved. If it's not RIFC, it's not important. We're here to talk about the Tide, and that is it. I'm super excited to take part in this collaboration with you all, and nothing's going to change in the corner. You might get a little bit more banter from the folks sharing the screen with me right now, but the more the merrier. That's what the Quahog Corner is about. I can't wait to see what you soccer minds put together for this absolute shit show that happened the other night. But I'm just pumped. I think there's nothing but good things to come. I'm not normally a podcast guy. I just kind of go off the cuff and do my thing on the Quahog Corner, so this is new for me. But super happy to be here and be a part of this. As I always say, up the fucking Tide, and let's go get them.
Yeah, thanks for that, Kevin. Really appreciate it. We're trying to just work through all the stuff right here. We've got a lot of cool comments in the chat right now. Time to burn all those stickers you've handed me lately. They're all collector's items. It's funny. We got some cool stuff going on there. General excitement in the chat though. We had oh hell yeah. We've got the celebration emojis. So I think it's a positive. It's being well recepted, and that's what we had really hoped for.
And don't worry, the Huck Fartford stickers, those will always last forever. So hold on to those with, pride.
Yeah,
we have
absolutely.
a bunch more too. So come see us at tailgates.
Also worth noting, this was in the works. So the Tide Talk stickers and the Tide Talk branding is out there and on its way. We should hopefully have it by the next home match, I would imagine. We're really digging the new logo, so we're excited we can do some new stuff with it. So the new stickers will hopefully be better than the old ones and have a little bit more flair to your cooler or water bottle.
And hey, worst case scenario, it just means there's gonna be more club collector stuff. So
right, I got to talk to Craig. I got to reach out to him on that. Matt Hands had a really good comment. I call the name change and Kevin joining. Scott was a surprise though. So Scott, the local fans are happy to have you over here from the UK.
Gotta keep you on your toes.
That's it. But let's like I said, let's dive into this one. It was obviously the 2-0 loss at home to Detroit City. Before we kind of talk a little bit about the action and lineup and all of that, I have to give a special moment to Irvin, who I purchased the full Defiance membership for my son Zach, and Irvin gave Zach the scarf, and there's a lot of people around that clapped and made it a really cool moment. So I thank you for all of those for making that special for him. I'll post the picture online after this one, but his face kind of showed it all. He was so excited. And the best part, on the way in, and I think, Ryan, you caught this. We were walking in, and as we walked by the Detroit City players warming up, he goes, "Dad, can I boo them?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, you can. You got a Defiant scarf on. You're a member now. You can do whatever you want. You're good." So he booed them on the walk in. So I thought that was just a really cool moment.
It was two really quick examples of you raised him right so far. He asked permission, but then he booed the shit out of those guys. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, he also asked for a $4.01 Heineken, but I wouldn't budge on that one. But I guess that's beside the point there. But let's see. Diving into this one, we saw pre-match that Chico was out, so it was a starting 11 of Vegas, Turnbull, Nodarse, Yao, Doyle, Ibarra, McGlynn, Holstad, Fuson, Sadie, and Williams. So a bit of a shakeup kind of due to availability and what we had going on there. Let's start with you, Scott, so we haven't heard from you a bit. What did you make of the starting lineup? I know you're a big Prince Sadie fan. How'd you like it?
I will try my best to say only positive things about Prince Sadie. I think we're missing Quizera massively. I think we could all see that coming. it's interesting since we haven't actually seen a team with Quizera in the post Jack P days. So I think it would be interesting to see how that fits together, whether it's the same as before Jack P came in, or whether we're going to see a sort of manifestly different style of play. I think that Quizera for me is the main man missing. Obviously, it hurts not to have Chico, and our special boy Gabby did not start. I think, is this 2 or 3 games running? I think that's a mistake. I don't know what's happened. I've heard some rumors about this being a social thing rather than a sporting or professional thing, and if that's the case, I'm very disappointed. But yeah, it really does seem that we are missing quite a few key starters there. Whether or not that would have made a difference is academic, but I do think it made a big difference not having these players there.
Yeah, Ryan, how about you? What did you make of this starting 11 and the changes that we saw?
Yeah, I think we were forced into a lot of the changes with Jack P leaving, with Chico being unavailable. But it seemed as though they just said, "Hey, let's take the 11 best players we think we have. Whether they are the best players, we can all debate that. But let's make sure they all get on the pitch at the same time. We'll figure out where they stand. We'll figure out where they play, which I think." Has some merit. I mean, we joked about it last time. It's like just do the FIFA thing where you do that. You put all the strikers up front. And I think we did suffer a bit from that decision throughout the game because it kind of killed us on the amount of changes that we could make throughout to change the game.
For sure. Kevin, with the limited availability and what we have, is this what you would have come out with for your starting 11?
Absolutely not. No. 4-4-2. I'm just gonna keep saying it. Like, I know it's not gonna happen, but I'm gonna say it until it does happen. What we're doing isn't working. It hasn't worked. Change it. Give me a boring 4-4-2 and see what happens. You guys are right. Quizera tremendously missing from the starting lineup. But he's doing something good for his country and for his club, so I get it. Yeah, I need to see a change. That's all I got.
Yep, I'll go with you there. And Tyler brings a good point to the lineup. Having a lineup with so many forwards, not create many quality chances, especially in the first half, is frustrating. And I think a lot of that is our midfielders aren't necessarily creating those chances for our forwards as well. I think Jack P was the closest bridge we had to that, to creating those chances for our forwards. But without him, that glaring hole was much even worse, even more noticeable. So missing Jack P was absolutely huge, going on there. So.
Yeah, Matt, it's funny. When we were all joining forces, I figured that it wouldn't be the first episode where Kevin sounds much more like the person from the United Kingdom with his 4-4-2, pump it long promo there.
Fucking Tory.
Yep. Unbelievable. It's heritage.
Oh, absolutely. But as we dove into this one, Ryan, I know you tweeted this out, and we were standing next to each other at the front of 13. The poor officiating was on full display. 14th minute was a big example of that. There was a goal kick given for what was clearly a corner, hit off a Detroit City player's back heel, I believe, but nobody else involved with it. Mark Doyle had his hands on his head in absolute disbelief of this, but the quality that we're seeing in officiating these matches, it just continues to absolutely be shit. Equal to the ESPN stream. I didn't see the red screen this time. I saw the blue screen.
The screen of death, yeah.
Yeah, the blue screen was what was going on there. So just shitty quality on the rewatch as well. I've got myself into more of doing the rewatch and really getting into cheering with Nate and getting loud in the matches and going back and watching after to try to be able to talk a little bit more about this. But very frustrating to watch as well. As far as the rest of the first half, for me, the biggest question that I had, and I'll pose it to Scott first, 30th minute we're on the attack. Mark Doyle cuts in on the box. Did you have a penalty there?
No, actually.
No? All right. I thought he got clipped. For me, look live, I thought maybe there was something there. Rewatching it, I thought stonewall for me.
Really? So the angles weren't fantastic, and the camera work from the
Sure.
the boys at Burn isn't fantastic. I watched it through a few times just from his reaction. I'd say yes. Doyle seems to only go down when he is clipped, but I can totally see why there wasn't a penalty given there, because I didn't see it on 3 or 4 rewatches. There weren't the best angles to see it. To be honest, I think it's immaterial. If we'd got a penalty there and scored it, we would have been lucky. You know, our
Mhm.
XG would have been considerably lower than the amount of goals that we got. What was our XG in that? It was pitifully low. We didn't deserve it.
1.33.
We just did not. There we go.
Right, the
It's
chance creation is not there. So obviously, and I agree with that. We can bitch and moan as much as we want about the officiating throughout this one, but would it have helped us win this game? Probably not. Would it have helped us draw this game? Maybe.
I
Ryan,
don't think so.
give us your thoughts on the first half, and did you have a penalty there? What you think of that chance? No, not for you.
No, I mean, I've gone on the record the past couple of weeks of like I'd rather them not give penalties than give them if it's even close to 50-50. With the ref, throughout the match, I thought he was just my problem with him was more his like manner, and he just felt very condescending. He did just a lot of weird, the whole pointing at the whistle, and he just had zero control of the match. And luckily, it didn't get too out of control, but it easily could have been one of those where yellow cards stop flying, you see a red card because there just was zero handle on it. He was also just like the reason I tweeted that out was that he blew a whistle dead because a player on Detroit went down, which you
Not
don't
a
like.
head injury.
Yeah, it's not a head injury. There's no obligation for us to stop playing if someone just goes down on the field. So his job is to enforce the rules of the game. And it seemed like he was more trying to dictate the kind of like social environment of the game. And he was more concerned about that. So it was less about like blowing calls. It was more just like how he treated the game. And it's just like a series of what we've seen so far in the USL, which I have been extremely unimpressed with.
No, absolutely.
What I will say just on the calls, I think he was somehow one of the better referees.
Yeah, his calls were fine. It just
in
was
the last few.
The way of
again
going
fine by
There were a
like
couple.
standard we're used to at this point.
This is the thing. It's fine because he didn't make 10 god awful calls, but there were a few instances of very reactive refereeing. I think
Perfect
somewhere
word.
near the 30th minute actually. Just where someone goes down. Oh, that was it. It was the referee in the 40th minute. So Becerra goes down after trying to challenge Yao, goes into the back of Yao and decides to fall over himself. The referee takes a look at it, doesn't blow, sees that Becerra's gone down, and then just blows because the player's on the floor. Of course, a player can only be on the floor if there's been a foul. Terrible refereeing. I don't know what the standard is in the USL, but it really seems to be very driven by crowd reaction and driven by theatrics, and it's bad.
I love Susan's question. I do hope it's the sarcastic approach that I interpreted it as. Have we always had a ref in the middle of the pitch? Because it doesn't always seem so, but the spotlight was certainly on this gentleman. But this match did change in the most part in the 36th minute when Detroit City was able to capitalize and get a goal off a double deflection, failure to clear the ball by RIFC. Kevin, what did you make of the moments that led up to that goal and kind of what went down with Detroit finding the back of the net?
Yeah, look, I mean, they were taking shots when they had the shots, the opportunity to take them, and unlike our garbage man Chico, Maxi Rodriguez, who has lots of chemistry with his team, is never going to miss an opportunity in the 6-yard box to put away a goal for his team. I mean, there was no stopping that. They created chaos in the box, and he had a go of it, and they go ahead. And I mean, the second that goal went in, immediately deflating, because we weren't even showing anything before that point to make us feel good about the trajectory in which we were playing. Like it was just bad. It was not great form the entire game, but everything after the 36-minute goal from Maxi Rodriguez was a nosedive for us.
Yeah, for sure. Ryan, I'm going to kick this question from Raphael to you. Do you guys think that we need an actual playmaker midfielder to help JJ? And I think we saw that with Jack, and that's something that I think we've both touched upon on many of our past episodes. But for me, I know the obvious answer is yes, but like even I would even look at this and interpret this as even outside of Jack, is there still something else that we need, another player there? Because obviously if we don't have him, it's what was it, 0.33 xg, so we're just not creating those chances. It's not Noah Fuson. Holstad's dropping deeper. It's not Ibarra, who was kind of playing the furthest forward midfielder running off of JJ on his hold-up play. That's just not his game. He's more of that recycler, that metronome, and he's not able to create those chances. But go ahead, tackle that one.
Yeah, I mean, I actually, while having better playmakers, better people on that, number 10 advanced playmaker role would be great. I actually think a playmaker that we are going to be able to get that I don't know that they're going to yards from goal. They just seem to not know what to do. They don't seem to know who to pass to. They always are marking themselves out of the game. We will definitely go big on this in the good, the bad, and the ugly. So stay tuned. If you're listening, definitely take a peek at that section in the on the YouTube video after. I got some slides. I was so mad I made slides, guys. This is not good.
Boy.
But yeah, I while again, a playmaker would help a bit. I just don't. I think there's more of a strategy issue and a tactical issue that's going on.
Okay, and we got Matt Strick in the chat, and Matt says, honestly, can't see what Ibarra was supposed to be doing yesterday. And I think I said to you, Ryan, at one point, like it was JJ's hold up play that we were kind of hoofing it long ball to him, and he is a beast at bringing it down. And it was Ibarra that was the one coming off of him. But Ibarra is not that final third gifted player. If anyone, maybe that should have been Fuson. Or maybe Clay, and I know we're going to talk about Clay when we get to good, bad, and the ugly, because that dude played every fucking position on the pitch, imaginable outside of keeper. But it's just not Ibarra. Ibarra's like I said, a metronome. He's a ball recycler, and for him to be running off our target man number 9, getting into the box, it's not going to create those chances. It's not going to get those opportunities that we want to see, that we need to see. So,
well, the other problem too is where Ibarra was initially positioned the entire night, he didn't have the opportunity to collect those second balls. Like, second balls were a huge issue. Again, going to go big on this in the good, the bad, the ugly. I know Scott has talked about this whenever he can. The hoof it long and use JJ as a target man. Great idea. He's huge, and we have a goalkeeper who can distribute well. But if JJ is staying there by himself without a Rhode Island FC player 20 yards around him, there's no way that can work. He's not so much better than all the other players that he can both take it, target, bring it down, and then be by himself on an island and run at goal. So again, tactically, strategically, I think there's just a massive issue here.
Sure. Scott, any other thoughts you had on that first half performance that you want to wrap up?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a bit of a shambles, isn't it? There are two main issues that I think that we've got actually throughout the game, but exemplified in the first half, which is we're not doing this long ball too much anymore. What we're doing is we're playing out from the back. One person is making a plucky run, and then by the time that they're distributing it, we've got 4 or 5 people in front of the ball. And it turns out we're not very good in the final third, so we end up giving it away. And I counted 3 or 4 different times in the first half alone where, when we are dispossessed by someone, someone like Holstad, someone like Turnbull is being dispossessed, and then we've actually got 4 or 5 players the wrong side of the ball in their third, and then we're running back. And thank God we weren't playing a decent team. 2-0, that was a horrible 2-0, and we were lucky to get 0. Let's not confuse ourselves. We played really badly. We were lucky it was only 2, and we were lucky we only got 0. And yet, we still relied on the fact that they were on the transition. They were counterattacking with such force and still couldn't manage to do anything with that. If we were playing a decent side, that would have been 6. Through all of those defensive mistakes that started in their third, and I think that's really bad. When we were actually defending, so that goal, Nodase did really well. He tried as hard as he could, but he was slightly out of position. He was trying to mark 2 men. He was trying to stop the lateral pass from happening. Didn't quite make it. His man ended up running forward, but everyone was out of position. Nobody had their guy. Ibarra was there the entire time, but that's it. He was there. He wasn't doing anything. Whoever it was on the back post, actually can't remember who it was, and my notes have just died, but everyone was out of position. No one seemed to know where they were, and crucially, and this was a whole game thing.
I think that's a caveat of changing formation so much and changing personnel within the same formation. You know what I mean?
One thing I'm really upset about is the amount of times I've seen a Detroit player on the edge of our box patiently waiting for a pass. None of our defenders can see him. They're wearing bright colors. and they're right on the edge of the box. And the amount of dangerous situations that we just gave up because none of our defenders were man marking in a situation where they clearly should be. I cannot believe that Kano has said if they're on the edge of the box, just leave them. It's all right. You can tackle them later.
Sure.
You should be pushing them. You should be making sure that they are uncomfortable. Oh, and sorry, on that first goal, we had Fuson and somebody else, I assume, Fuson and somebody, maybe JJ, just not doing anything. They were just standing there waiting for us to regain the ball and then run up. If you're there, if you're literally walking and there's a guy 20 yards in front of you in possession, pressure him. Do something. Make him make a decision. Don't give him time. It's all round very poor defensively.
Absolutely. You got a fan in the chat, as Andrew Quadros says, agreed, Scott, DCFC weren't great last night. And that was a big takeaway that I had as well, Andrew. This was not a overwhelming Detroit City team that we saw, a team that we should have, had been afraid of or kind of yielded to. This was more about RIFC's deficiencies in the final third than anything Detroit City did. And I totally agree with that. And I think this was a game that the players may have looked at as like, hey, we're missing, Jack's gone. We don't have Jack on loan anymore. And we don't have Quezera because of international duty. And I think they use it as a cop-out. I think it was like, we're going to kind of do our best to contain, but we're not really going to push the envelope to score goals. And I believe that's a big part of what we saw. Kev, what do you have as far as other thoughts on the first half? Any big moments that we missed that you'd like to highlight?
Yeah, I know that we got our friend Evan in here, so this is for Evan. Shoot the fucking
right.
Like, I know it's about the quality of the shot and not the quantity of the shot, but there was several times I was standing next to Ryan on the rails, and like the amount of times I just like threw my hands like this and covered my face because we would make these fairly decent lateral passes right in front of the 18, and they just wide open. Fuson twice, namely, doesn't shoot it. He has to bring the ball in 2 more steps, 2 more touches, and then he gets crowded by 2 or 3 DCFC players and finds himself in a turnover. It's the same thing. Just they're not. When we shoot the ball, we create chances. We look all right. Sacramento Republic game. When we don't, we look like fucking shit. Clean it up.
I think that's pretty well said, Fluff. Megatron Evan says, "I'm sorry, Kevin, I couldn't hear you. Could you speak up?" I think because you weren't yelling. But we'll point that out for his audio issues, and we'll make sure we have Kev squared away next time. Justin said in the chat, "I think their defense was gettable. We had crosses, but no one was on the end of them or block shots." One point I wanted to bring up on crosses that I noted when I was doing my rewatch. I don't know if this is a mental block that our players have or a physical incapability of doing this correctly, but I think we pick out the wrong cross in the wrong situation. If there's players at the back post, we hit the cross to the front post. If there's players at the front post, guess where we hit the fucking cross to? You got it, the back post. So I don't know if it's a physical limitation by our players or if it's just a mental, we're just going to kick it in and not really care what post it goes to. But we have to be able to recognize that if there are players waiting at the back post, the ball needs to go to the back post. Like Evan said, like Kevin said, we also need to just shoot the ball. I don't think we've attempted any shots outside of the box in the last 2 matches. We just try to work it in and try to get all of our shots in the box. It's not like,
don't forget the one that Connor skied like over.
Yeah, all right. But
fair point though.
You know what? It's almost like like basketball, to give an example of that. Like, we only want layups, but like you got to be able to shoot the 3. You got to be able to go from downtown, and we just don't even look at that. We don't even try to do that. So before I go to you, Ryan, and get your bow on the first half, I was very shocked, and I said it to you on the rail watching this live. 50-50 possession for the first half. I thought the field tilt was a little bit different. I thought they had us a little bit more, but it was a little ping pong after on the rewatch. They outshot us 7-2 with 1 on target to our none, with 1 big chance for them, obviously coming from that goal. They completed 190 accurate passes, 83% to 187 for us. And then there were 3 corners for them and 0 for us. 7 fouls by them, 5 for us. So we were actually under on the foul for that, but just a lot of frustrating moments in that first half for me. So Ryan, I know you got some stuff, and I know you want to go into rant mode on this one.
Sorry, I was going to do
first half. Sorry,
I was going to good back. Yeah, I mean, 0 big chances created, only 2 shots in the first half. I think we've all summed it up. It was just dire stuff. It was funny because you said to me, "Hey, 50-50," and I was like, "We've had a lot of the ball. We just have done literally nothing with it." We also had 0 corners too. Just like
which has been a strong suit of ours, at least getting corners and creating good chances off a corner.
Yeah, it was just truly like getting the ball to the final third and just disgusting lack of ideas and a lack of execution there.
Yeah, Justin wants to know what happened to Holstead. Brilliant shots from outside the box.
Well, it's hard to get shots outside the box when you're playing right back. So
yeah, right back, right center back, all around there. McGlynn's another guy that can put one in from outside the box, but we're not even attempting those. And I have to believe that that's more of a tactical thing.
Yep, and I think it was Matt Hand said a couple minutes ago. I think a great shout here. Like we were way too slow in attack, gave them plenty of time to get 8 or 9 behind the ball. You can't shoot from outside the box if there's 5 guys in front of you. You're shooting into a wall. You're not going to get a shot on target either way. So another great call out of like a lot of the systemic issues of this team rather than personnel wise.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt Hands also brings Nips to the tailgate, him and his fiance. So if you don't know Matt, get to know him at the tailgate. He's definitely a good time. He's got a good mix of stuff in there.
Nips and great contributions in the chat. Like what more can you ask of a supporter? Unbelievable.
You know what I think it is? I think it's because his name's Matt. It's all the Matt connections that we have in the RIFC community.
I just can't wait for the Matt versus Andrew battle royale if it happens eventually. It's going to be unbelievable.
It'll go down.
Ryan, the ranks are growing.
I will give you this, Ryan. My middle name is Ryan, so like we can you can join the Matts as a mutual.
It's very weird. So my brother's first name is Matt, but my middle name is Andrew. So like, where do I go in this battle?
Oh, we're going full on with that one. All right, second half. Scott, kick us off. What do you got?
It's much like the first, honestly. We did seem to have a bit of a fire up our arse, which was nice. We were doing a little bit more. We were running a little bit more, but it's just the difference between those two teams and how they deal with the break was really quite exemplary. We are not good, and they were considerably better. And considering they are not a good side, that really does need to be examined. There were multiple times. So number 9, Morris for Detroit, fantastic player, really sensational, put in a real shift against us there. He was everywhere. He was a bit like Holstead for us, but he was doing things. I noticed there was a time where he actually dispossessed us in his final third, did a huge run, distributed it beautifully, and nothing came of it. But if one of our players did that, we'd be singing about it. The skill gap was just phenomenally large. Every time that we'd get any sniff of the ball, we would be able to bring it to their third even, but we'd just be dispossessed all of the time. Our passing accuracy was horrible. Ryan, I'm sure you're about to obliterate me with a stat here, but the eye test said that our passing accuracy was horrible. There were so many times on the rewatch where I'm just seeing the pass go to literally nobody, whether it's a cross, whether it's a pass, whether it's, lateral or forward. It just seems to not be working because of a skill issue. This isn't bad luck. This isn't people in the wrong place. This is literally, our players were not as skilled as their players. And
so Scott, what's funny about this?
45 minutes.
Yeah, so we actually had one of our highest accuracies of the season, but but I also would have said the exact same thing as you because there's no way to quantify this, but I think
it's that fucking eye test versus stat thing. It's so deceiving.
It's not even that. It's just more like the important pass we would screw up. Like there was multiple times where you do something I despise is when someone has the ball towards a touchline or even a little bit in, and they try to go square across the entire field. And it gets cut off almost every single time to the other fullback. And that happened multiple times, always creates a big counterattack. So that's why we remember it significantly more because it turns into such a dangerous situation. So sorry to do the stat thing, but I totally agree with you that there was just because I think our pass accuracy was so high this game is because we were doing a lot of safe passing in little touches, but we just were really screwing up the moments of the game.
I also, before I go back to you, Scott, I want to go a little bit in the chat and just get some really funny and good fan takes that we have in there. Matt Strick says, thanks for the butterscotch, Dr. McGillicuddy's, Matt. I, too, had the butterscotch, Dr. McGillicuddy's from Matt Hand, so thank you. Then there was just a really good back and forth. Matt Hand said, no problem, fellow Matt. So, again, the fellow Matts totally unite. And this
is just you hyping up the Matt side of the battle. Like, let's get the Andrews in the chat, see what they have to say. Come on.
Oh, Andrew Quadros did say, bring it on. So I will give that. He wants to hear it. He wants to see it. Wants it done. But the old wise sage Our good friend Tim McDuff doubled down with, we cannot have a Matt versus Andrew battle royale. We'll lose over half our membership in one fell swoop. And
Tim, it'd be so much more entertaining than what we're seeing on the pitch. Come on, we got to go to the tailgates for something.
Yeah, that's it. We'll figure something out. We got to do some kind of thing. Scott, as you were continuing on your second half rant, you did get a Scott preach man from Evan. So I know Ryan hit you with some stats, but continue on your second half thoughts.
So yeah, it's much the same really. It did seem that all of the things that we could not do at all, they were at least doing part of the time. Again, Morris was a really good player for them. Their number 7, Becerra, incredible. He really put a shift in, and it's these crosses, these lateral passes. One that really messed us up quite a lot was on the left side in the midfield. That sort of that through ball to the right. Every single time, regardless of whether it was Holstad, regardless of whether it was our boy Gabby Alves, the man was unmarked in plenty of space, and it's usually Morris, who is really pacey. You know, he can really run, and every time we got beaten. And it's just these things where our players don't seem to recognize the danger they're in, where they're not marking people on the edge of the box, where they're not looking for that dodgy run from Morris on the right, when they are, we nearly lost a third goal when Morris intercepted it from a pass I think it was supposed to hit Brito or someone like that. And it just seems to like a real lack of situational awareness from our defense, or just the whole team when they're supposed to be defending. They seem to think, okay, I've got my 3-foot square of space here, and that's all I need to worry about. It's a bigger game than that, and it didn't seem to be that for the players. They seem to let a lot go if it wasn't directly in front of them.
Absolutely. We've also got Sarah in the chat, who I believe is Matt's fiance, based on context, reading this one. The nips were all my idea, so you're welcome. Thank you, Sarah. Thanks for bringing them all in. A knock against the Matts, because Matt didn't want to give his fiance credit there, and Tim did add that the apple pie went really well with the lemonade. So, well done. Kevin, let's get you in on this second half and your thoughts on that. And I guess a big thing we want to add there is, you left early, so we do have to call you out on that and speak to that, and how much of that was based on the performance you were seeing from the Tide in the second half.
All right. So I'm glad that I'm on with a bunch of really decent football minds, people that like statistics. Everyone knows that, has been listening to me all season long on the corner, knows everything I do is off the eyeball metric. And there was nothing that anyone's eyeballs could see during that match that had any redeemable qualities. I looked over at Ryan at some point, I think, and I was like, if this was my call, I would get the band up and I would march out. And I know that's a wild take, but it was just awful. It was just shit. There was nothing good about the game. There was almost nothing good. And I waited all the way to probably about, I would say, 78th, 79th minute. I'm like, well, they're not turning this shitstorm around, so I was like, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna start heading out. I didn't leave immediately. I went to section 18, which is where my seats should be, and watched a little bit, said hi to some people. By the 82nd minute, I was in my car, smashing my dashboard. I don't know. Also, I have no idea what a plucky run is. Not a fucking clue what plucky is. It's got to be something good. I don't know, but yeah. So, thanks guys for all your statistical stuff. Tomorrow night I'll just yell into the void about them sucking again, I guess. I don't know.
All right, Scott, would you like to rebut that for Kevin and describe a plucky run, if you will, you limey cunt?
Plucky, adjective. Having or showing determined courage in the face of difficulties.
I love that you answered his rant about stats versus opinion with a fucking dictionary definition. So gotta absolutely love that. Applaud that.
I just want to be clear. I didn't want to give Scott that stat. I didn't even think that stat existed. I actually was expecting to turn. I didn't have it written down. I literally checked FOTMob while he said it and was like, "Oh, it's definitely going to be in the low 70s." Nope, highest pass accuracy of the season. So I did not expect that stat, to be clear.
Ryan,
I have a slight correction to make. Sorry, I said that it was Morris who plucked that goal, plucked the
plucky
the
run.
interception out, and it was number 19, their substitute Amo, who. So it was Holstad trying to find Yao and couldn't. 19 Amo just takes it out of the air, should have been 3, wasn't. Really good save by Vegas. At the beginning, I thought actually it was just got into a good position. It was luck, but you do see his leg raise just at the last second. A really, really good save. Very, very skillful save, but it should have been 3. It really should have.
Yeah, that was just a great get by Koke. The play that led up to it, the giveaway, just piss poor. I thought the passing at the back was just kind of poor throughout this one. Whether it was the decision making, the speed of the pass, the weight of the pass. If you're gonna play out the back, you got to hit it with some pace, and we were just kind of like training ground hitting it back and forth, and it just absolutely wasn't working. Tim had a good point in the chat. Kevin, you weren't far from the only one who left early. Watched lots of people leaving early. It was more organized than the play on the field. It did seem that way at times, for certain. Ryan, before we get to your slides, I do know we mentioned we mentioned substitutes and kind of what went on in this one, and that had a lot to do with, I think, how vulnerable we got for goal number 2, and then how vulnerable we were for the end. But we saw Clay play right back. We saw Clay play right center back. We saw him play center mid. We saw him all over the pitch. I don't get what Kano was trying to do with the subs on this one. I really don't. I think it was a tough sell. And I know there are a lot of negative people on Kano in the chat. So if you talked about that, we will get to it. But there were also a lot of people really high on Kano after marching with us to the parking lot post Hartford. I know that's an emotional thing versus a tactical thing, and a little bit differently. But people are pretty upset. We saw Brito come on for Prince Sadie. Prince Sadie did okay. I think he fiddly fucked with the ball a little too much. Just kind of playing with it. And then nobody made runs while he was dribbling and doing all of his tricks and flicks there. So he had no one to pass to. So I'll give that as the caveat. Brito came on, and I think we were all kind of like, well, that's interesting. Brito doesn't really offer much. May have had one of the better chances in the second half for us that he just absolutely
he should have buried that.
Yeah, easily.
We saw Gabi come on in the 65th. We saw Colin Smith come on in the 70th. So, like, if you're gonna bring Colin Smith on, like, why not bring him on earlier and let Clay stay in the midfield and let our best midfielder play midfield and not right back or right center back? So that was a big one for me. Vang in the 87th, I have no problem with. At that point, like, we were just trying to see this one out and not, get booed off the pitch. But interesting subs all around from Kano. What you make of the substitutes and the constant formation change? And we'll hear a little bit more from some listeners in their RIFC and 3 and their good, bad, and the ugly on this one.
Yeah, I mean, quite frankly, I'll just jump into it. That was my bad. It's just the way that we game planned around the squad that we had available. As I mentioned in the upfront, we seem to just be like, hey, these are our 11 best guys. Let's just put them on the pitch and they'll figure it out.
And we just don't have that available to us right now.
Well, it's not that we don't even have that available. It's just like by doing that, it happened that most of those people were midfielders. So our entire bench were basically like, of the recognizable players were defenders. So you had Gabby, you had Colin Smith, you had Messer, who I think has had some good appearances. There was basically no attacking or midfield options that you could actually chop and change the game. So anytime he made a sub, he had to completely destabilize the team and either change the formation or change more or less where Clay Holstad played. He played, again, 4 different positions on the night. So I just can't reiterate enough how disappointing I found the use of the squad and the game management that took place, because it just left us with absolutely zero options to actually change the game.
I think that's a good shout. I think that's pretty well said.
Don't know if I'm frozen or not.
No, you were kind of in and out. I think somebody said that, I think it was Andrew that said Fluffy's connection issues are causing havoc for all of us, but we'll make it work. We're fighting through this. We're battling through this. It's episode 1 of Tide Talk, but we're going through it there. Let's kick it to the good, the bad, and the ugly. I have Kevin's pulled up. Kevin said good, the fans; bad, the game; ugly, the fan anthem. The fan anthem was fucking shit. So I'm glad you did bring that in there. How do you introduce a fan anthem for your club without consulting fans? I had a big problem with that. I know a lot of others had a big problem with that. The cow skills just aren't it for a sing along. That song is not able to be sung along to by the fans. It's not catchy. It's got like that Beatles vibe to it. It just doesn't do it. It's not something we can all sing to. We can get loud. We can get boisterous behind. Even Nate was like, "The fuck is that? Like, this isn't it." Like, he goes, our anthem is RIFC. And like, I applaud Nate for that because Nate's sticking to his guns on that one. But like, it's absolutely shit. Kevin, I'll bring you in to talk on this. Like, we got to get a better anthem. I know people are kicking around ideas in the Defiance Discord, but this was bad.
Yeah, it actually couldn't get much worse than this. And what's worse is they actually like ask fans about music in general, but not like they could have given us like a multiple choice even. Nobody would have fucking picked that song. It's fucking terrible. It's awful. It's like singing a song about everybody likes a flower girl. Nobody likes the fucking flower girl. It's weird. Don't do that. Stop that. All right, so our goal scoring song, which no one knows because we don't score goals, is Talking Heads' Psycho Killer. Great song. They have ties to Rhode Island. They have a great catalog of songs that they could have picked one of them. It would have been great. Burning Down the House, for instance, would have been a good one. And there's hundreds of other songs. Anything nautical would have worked. But no, it was just fucking pathetic. Also, I do want to defend myself for leaving early again real quick. Everyone that knows me knows I am a super fan and that I eat, sleep, and breathe this shit. I just needed to walk away because I was emotionally drained. But I will never, ever, ever give up on the club. And that's why I do what I do. But I couldn't do it anymore. They can't always get the best. They can't.
You had been standing next to me all game, and I was like legitimately nervous that you got like lost going to the porta potty or something. I was like, "Where'd he go?" And then, then Matt was like, "He definitely left."
You mentioned the Talking Heads and Burning Down the House. I like that one a lot. You think about sorry Scott, but you think about burning down the Gatsby, and it was just the Gatsby Day Parade and the Gatsby Day 5K that Ryan ran. Like, we burnt down the British House in Rhode Island. We set that ablaze. So I'm going to advocate that we push for that one. That is my choice on A, and it goes away with our goal scoring song, as you mentioned as well. Matt Hand said, "Are you definitely doing that song every game? It was a 401 night thing." Let's hope that it was just a 401 night thing, and let's push for change. I think the best thing about what we do and being a fan created podcast and trying to be a podcast for the fans, by the fans, is let's bring the fans' voice to the club. Let's let them know we don't like that. We weren't happy with that. And hopefully that'll invoke change. And that's what Defiance means. That's what the colonists did. So let's hopefully we can embark those changes. Again, sorry, Scott. Fuck you. We'll talk again on 4th of July. But I think that's what we can do. That's what we can push as a podcast, as a people. Evan's typing in all caps, so he's yelling. He said, "Okay, I just heard it. Who the hell approved this crap? I'm sorry, guys, but you four could do a better barbershop quartet than that." Yeah, and on that note, with the name change, with the brand change, we want to get a group of people together to record the "Oh When the Tide" chant. We want to record that chant and add it to our opening, add it to our intro music. So if you're interested, send us a DM on socials or get in touch with me, DM on Discord or anything like that, and let us know that you're interested, and we'll try to record it before the next home game. I know Ryan has the mic capability for mobile recordings, and we'll figure it out.
I swapped it out for this thing.
All right,
so
we'll make it work.
Figure it out.
We'll make it work. We want to get that in our intro just to kind of give it a unique pitch. So make sure you get in touch with us there. Scott, what do you got? Any thoughts first?
Good, bad, and ugly, or are we still on the songs?
Yeah, let's kick it off with the good, bad, and the ugly. Give us yours. Give us your good. Let's go around. We'll do a full panel round of goods.
So my good is a little bit boring, honestly. Just our special boy Gabby gets back on the pitch. I've been looking forward to it, and I think it's genuinely the route to our success. I think it's silly that we haven't started him in a little while, and I was really glad to see that he was at least an option to come on.
He also had the most dangerous shot of the match. Ripped that.
True. Well, I mean, Britos couldn't be described as a shot, could it? I suppose, but
no.
Yeah, beyond that, then yes. Oh, sorry. Can I just make one more note about this shooting from outside?
Sure.
Because I think
you're going to say about the Gatsby, but yes, shooting outside.
They were chasing untaxed rum. Untaxed. No.
I like that we were like, hey, we don't have enough Arsenal-Tottenham rivalry. We have to bring in like USA versus like the UK rivalry. We got to really amp it up.
Oh dear. So the shooting out of the box, I agree now. I am a convert. We should be shooting out of the box, but can we stop pretending like this is not a step back? This is not our expected goals will go down if we shoot from further away. This is not a skilled football thing to do. This is a concession. We cannot play in the final third, so we shoot like Neanderthals. It's fine if it starts working, but don't be surprised if we need to shoot 12 times for it to go in once, because that's about what it will be.
Neanderthal
ball. You heard it first.
I'll take one goal. If we shoot 12 and we get one, that's one more than we've seen in enough time.
I'm gonna kick it over to my good. My good for this one was the fans as well. I think it was 2-0, still down.
Always
still
going for the
chanting,
chat. Unbelievable.
Still chanting, still loud. I think it was just a great atmosphere from get to the end. It was a beautiful day. It was a beautiful afternoon into evening. It was a fucking humid ass week. And I just think that we were loud. I think that one thing that Nate said to me during this that really kind of stuck with me, he said, look around, look at the atmosphere. And as we did that, I thought he was kind of saying like how cool it was in 13. But if you look at the atmosphere outside of 13, there's not much else going on. So we got to find a way to bring that atmosphere. I know they had some kids come over and do a chant, which got a little bit sidetracked, a little bit too long, extended. But I think that was cool. Like I said, with Zach and getting the younger Defiance going is a good thing. But I think we got to find a way to bring atmosphere to the other stands, and maybe having a club anthem that can be sung by everyone would work for that instead of some shit ass song. But
hey, we went. If we want to go nautical, we could go Under the Sea, Little Mermaid. Little kids will know it. If you really want to reach out to that group,
I don't know.
Trying to combine all those things,
But Ryan, what do you go for your good? Since that was not a good take by you.
Just an idea. I thought ideas were harmless. Mine was the Yao and Nodarse pairing. So this was the first time they. What was that?
Ton of block shots.
Well, yes. So they were left alone in a back two for probably the first time so far. We've always been kind of covering them with someone like a Gabby or another like inverted fullback. It's usually back there in a back three. But that first half, I thought they were incredible in that back two. For Yao, 91% pass accuracy, 7 of 9 accurate long balls. He didn't make a single tackle, which sounds bad from a defender, but it's actually great. He was containing his man. He wasn't diving in, wasn't doing anything dumb. He won 3 out of 4 of his aerial duels, 2 blocks, 5 clearances, 8 defensive actions, 5 recoveries. I thought, especially in that first half, he was very dominant, especially in our box, which I loved. He didn't make any silly mistakes, and that is what you want of your center back. I actually voted him man of the match. I thought he was excellent back there. Nodarse, 91% pass accuracy, 6 of 7 accurate long balls, 3 of 3 tackles, 4 of 6 aerial duels, 1 block, 2 clearances, 2 interceptions, 8 defensive actions, 7 recoveries. Both of them put in an absolute shift. They were left on an island for the first time. And I think one thing that has been, the team hasn't been performing as we want. And I think there's a lot of frustration about it. But the only thing we've been talking about has been the top half of the pitch in that. And I think those two especially have been really cornerstones that we've been building on it, because
a lot of growth. At
the beginning of the year, we were on this podcast talking a lot about, the stupid goals we were giving up. And to be clear, we're going to always give up a dumb one every now and then. But I think especially the two of them, they have been available and they've been consistent, especially the past 5 to 8 games. And I have to applaud the two of them a ton.
Yeah, absolutely. I look at Matt Hins in the chat. He says Nodarse is our best player over the last month or so, and he has really shown leaps and bounds, a ton of growth. He's fitting the system well. He's really kind of covered up his holes that we saw early on. And I think his height is a big attribute of that. He's able to, kind of head some balls out of the way, get rid of it. But I think Nodarse has been absolutely great during these last few matches, and not winning, but not losing. Obviously, this match, untold to that, but he's been a big part of that. I think him coming up big in some key moments has been the reason we've been able to salvage some draws out of matches that very well could have gone the other way. Kevin, and I don't want you guys to think I'm like muting Kevin on this one. It's just we're trying to walk through the audio on that. We read his 3 takes, so I'm going to skip to Scott as far as his bad. Scott, what do you go for your bad on this one?
We still can't finish. We just cannot finish. Nothing in the final third is good. Crosses go to nobody. Corners go to nobody. There was one good corner that entire night. I believe Yao might have headed it. Camera angles weren't great. Nothing happens. Even when we get all of the constituent pieces right, we're still relying on someone to do, something pretty miraculous, which is put it in the back of the net. I did think, and just clip this, I do think Sadie had a good cross in the 26th minute. There we go. Prince Sadie did a good thing. Fuson, by the way, had a really, really bloody lovely cross, actually, in the second half. It didn't go anywhere, but I think Doyle headed it out. But it was really good. It was quick. It was snappy. It was, right in the middle. But we still can't convert, even when, some of our better players do make plays that you'd think, oh, okay, this is an expected goal. We just can't put it away. That is the bad. There's no final third product.
I think that's well said. That's my bad as well, is just the play of the final third. The lack of chance creation, I think, is a big choice to that. We also had a good in the chat that the $4.01 Heinekens. So
I heard they ran out and they started getting warm. So was it good?
Yeah, Heinekens are okay. I lost like half of mine because when Nate pulled his flare off, it landed on top of my can and trickled down into mine. So I did lose that. I know Nate kept his pull string on the flare, so he's like, "Look, I got a Sylvanair." So I absolutely love that from Nate. Good with the club also though was the I went to buy the hat that was on discount because me, I love hats. I have like 4,700 RIFC hats. I'll have them all by the end of the season. That's my goal. The navy blue was sold out, or the bay blue, whatever they're calling it. But they did give me the gray one at the discounted rate. So
oh man, I want that one.
Good on the club. Like that one. I do like it. It has the gray and white snapback, so it's a little contrast in there on the back. So I will give a good for the club on that. Going forward there, but the bad for me is still the lack of chance creation and our play in the final third. Ryan, what do you got for your bad?
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. Again, the game plan of how to use the squad, I just feel like we are constantly destabilizing it via changes, via subs, via using people like, why, if you're going to use Clay as a fullback, why not play Turnbull as the right back, who is a traditional right back, instead of making them both play out of position? So just a lot of chopping, changing. Clay playing 4 to 5 positions in a single game, not leaving yourselves any options on the bench in a game that will need changes, will need things to, you want to adjust to what the other team is doing and not leave yourself with nothing. So I just, super frustrating with how we just continue to not allow any relationships to grow. We continue to, make people play out of position. We keep not giving ourselves any options, even though, again, there's plenty of caveats with that, with Chico being out, with Jack being gone. But yep.
Yeah, we'll kick it over to the ugly. We'll start with you, Scott. Scott, what do you got for your uglies?
So I will preface this by saying I agree with Ryan. I think Nodase had a really good match. It wasn't faultless. There were mistakes. I could name them. I'm not going to. But I do think those two players in particular did have good games. But my ugly is the defense. So many times we were making key mistakes. So many times you just saw Detroit players on the edge of the box in really, really dangerous positions, and our defenders were doing nothing about it. Again, as you say, I think this is due to the chopping and changing so much that no one really knows which position they're supposed to be in. But I would want to see a lot more situational awareness from our defenders than this. It's just palpable negligence, honestly, that we're seeing with so many chances just given to them. And as I said, this was not a good team. We were not playing a good team. If we put that performance out against, anyone half decent, that would have been 6 easily. So I'm disappointed in the lack of situational awareness from the defenders. That is my ugly.
Well, Scott, I actually think, we'll get to it in my ugly a bit, but I think just general situational awareness from this team is an issue. But in defensive end,
but also crosses. We talked about the crosses. I don't think it's a performance thing. I think it's a situational awareness thing.
100% agree. Right, crossing. There was one point that Matt, we and you were standing next to each other, and JJ made that he tackled the guy in the corner, absolutely bodied the guy off.
It was a great pulled down to his fucking ankle.
Great, unbelievable play by JJ. And what does he do? He goes and whips in a cross. And guess who's there? Absolutely nobody, because who's supposed to be there? JJ Williams. So it's stuff like that where it's our ideas are kind of good sometimes. All right, it's just it just doesn't seem like anyone knows where the other person's supposed to be, and there's zero communication, zero just like that implicit awareness of like, I know that these two guys are going to press here, and then these two guys are going to be in their slot, and then if I go over here to chase that, I know that guy's going to fill in for me. There's just that lack of all of that right now, and we're at a point where it's getting concerning because, you know, a lot of this, I do think, especially in the attack, gelling, getting that chemistry is important. But there's also some of this that I'm like, me as someone who never played any sort of high level soccer, I know that, hey, if I'm a fullback and I make that overlapping run, one of the midfielders might have to drop deep because that space is now wide open.
Right.
And I assume all of these professional players know that as well. So very, very, very frustrating.
And I think a lot of that in what we spoke to earlier could be a lot of square pegs and round holes right now. And like you said, not allowing those relationships to develop and, you know, fully go on from there. I'm going to hit my ugly, then I'm going to go back to Kevin to kind of, if he wants to touch and edit any of his good, bad, ugly. But in watching the ESPN stream, the commentator opened with Kano said he feels like he's beating a dead horse with the players. Watching Kano in the post-game press conference, he looked defeated almost as much as Clay Holstead did on Full Time. And anyone who was there, Clay was fucking going through it. Clay's face, his demeanor, his emotions. I go down at the end of every match, and you know, whatever Zach's got on, he always wants to have the players sign. They signed our flag. Connor McGlynn, his first response to it, I always say, like, hey guys, thanks for the battle, you know, it wasn't the result. Connor McGlynn was like, this is just super frustrating. Like, that was his immediate pin response. Clay was like, very, very frustrating. That was it. That was all he gave us. Still, the players take the time, they sign the autograph. So if you're watching that and you go with kids, go down there at the end of the match. Just really cool, and I think unrivaled in this area as far as professional sports team and access to the players. Is a really nice touch by the club. That they make the players available like that. But you could just see the frustration on all of their faces. And that quote from Kano, and then just kind of seeing and looking at Kano's body, you know, mannerisms and what he was going through in the post press conference, I'm worried that this locker room is really souring, and if it's not already gone, it might be gone in the very near future. And I know it's very early days, but we cannot use that as an excuse all season long. I think it's just something to keep an eye on. Player camaraderie is one of the most important things in football, at least in my opinion. If you have guys that are willing to play and willing to fight for each other, I think you see a much different results-oriented business on the pitch. So I do worry about what it looks like in that locker room. And I think the ugly for me is the outward facing appearance of that. So Kevin, I know I read through yours, but is there anything you want to touch upon based on what was said in our good, bad, and the ugly from the three of us before I get to Ryan's, and then we'll read through some fans afterwards? Nope. And we don't have Kevin's audio on here. It did a quick flip over there. So sorry, Kev. We'll figure it out. Tune into the Call Hog Corner tomorrow night, and we will get it from there. So
Kevin's just saving his takes. This is classic.
That's it. Growing pains. We're working through it. We'll figure it out. But we'll get it going. Ryan, what do you got for your ugly?
Matt, could you kick it to the share?
Oh, let's do it. Here come the slides, folks.
Ooh,
so if you're listening on the podcast,
yes,
make sure you tune into the YouTube.
All right, so these first two slides, they are from a tool called xvalue.ai. I did not do this. This is way above my pay grade here. We touched on it earlier, 0.33 expected goals. That is just disgusting. One of the things about this team that has been borderline encouraging so far is that our expected goals, which for those of you who don't know, it's a stat that basically says from the shot that was taken, what was the, how many times does it go in the net? So it basically accumulates that all game, and then you get a team expected goals. We actually all season have been doing pretty okay at that, pretty mid-table, but we've been underperforming the actual goals scored. So it basically is trying to tell you, hey, you actually are taking some decent shots. You might be getting some in. This game, we gave ourselves absolutely no hope. The expected goals in this game were 0.33 to 2.42. So that's just absolutely horrible. As you can see over here, so we are on the left side. This formation, to me, just screams like this is an absolute mess. This is only through the first 45 minutes, which to me is actually very worrying because you have our two midfielders standing on top of each other, absolutely zero width from anybody who's not a fullback, and then just absolutely zero passes between our players up here. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse. Yep. Okay. So That's terrible. Just again reiterating this, our cumulative expected goals timeline here. You'll see that we just absolutely at no point were ever creating significant chances here. Just trickled in throughout the match, created almost nothing, especially in that second half when we were chasing the game at both 1 and 2-0. So throughout the game, I was just saying, like, this is very frustrating. We're obviously not shooting the ball, but like, we're also just not creating anything dangerous. And this is where I alluded to earlier, where I think this is much more of a tactical problem than a player problem. Also, just shout out to my guy, Noah Fuson here with a 0.27 top expected assist here. So I saw about 5 things that just kept reoccurring over and over and over again. So number 1, second balls. These are some horrendous pictures of screenshots that I took because I didn't want to mess with the league here. So second balls, we talked about it earlier. You see this long ball to JJ Williams here, right? Where do you see another Rhode Island FC player within 20 to 25 yards of him? Absolutely nowhere. So even if JJ wins his battle against 2 central defenders, there is not a single person to recover this ball or for him to interact with. Absolutely brutal. Next up, 0 secondary runs. Mark Ibarra, when Fuson has the ball over here, he comes in and tries to make himself available. Fuson passes into him. There is no longer any single person for him to pass to here. They're all being marked out of the game by Detroit. JJ Williams is behind a defender with his back to with Ibarra's back to him. There's not a single person, either Turnbull or Ibarra or Doyle here could make a run off there to try to cut into this lane. Not a single person is doing that, or even Fuson making a dart into that lane. Next up, marking yourselves out of the game. Similar to that one, Fuson's collecting the ball here. There's not a single Rhode Island FC player who is making themselves actually available here. They're all being marked out by a Detroit City player. This is something called shadow marking, you'll hear it called, where the player, it's not necessarily on the guy, but he's between the ball and the man. We love to shadow mark ourselves. It's actually something that's usually more described to talk about pressing tactics, where you shadow mark the other team. We do it to ourselves constantly, and I consider it hiding and something I don't find to be very appealing. 2 more. Running into walls, we talked about it earlier. There was a chance where, actually, no, it's 2 more of the same thing, running into walls. So basically, Doyle passes it to Fuson. Fuson gets blocked out by 3 different people. This is a classic where we say, oh, we want them to shoot the ball more. You physically cannot shoot the ball through these guys. So there's some interplay between Ibarra and Ibarra gets the ball from Fuson. Again, there's a complete wall in front of him. So it's just absolutely brutal from an attacking and a tactical standpoint, where we don't have any sort of attacking patterns that can produce predictable and consistent results. And there's just a lot of this to be sorted. And I think one thing that worries me is that I am an idiot with a microphone in front of his face, and I figured this out in 30 minutes. If another team has an actual analyst who's scouting this stuff, this is even easier to figure out. So I just really hope that over the next few weeks, we can just drill at least a few basic attacking patterns so that we can all be on the same page. We're in that final third. Your own noise.
Got to give it up to you there. That's just an absolute great breakdown there. The fact that you went out and made a slideshow, like your raise is in the works. It's coming.
The problem is it's just it's solely fueled by rage. Like, I hope that next game I'm coming on here and just talking lovely, and I have no spreadsheets, I have no slides. Like, I'm using all of the Google document tools at this point to try to talk about this club, and that is not good for anybody.
Hey, you got some admirers. Tim saying, great job, Ryan. Matt Hands is giving you the rounds of applause. But like you said, we want to see positives. So hopefully we can go with that going forward. Kevin did have to step out just with those connection issues there. But he did add before that, for everyone that has tuned in, thank you. This was a special episode for the Tide Talk announcement. After this, it's back to the regular scheduling programming for the Tide for the corner on Monday nights at 9. So make sure you tune into Kevin's, and we'll be sure to work through the audio difficulties that we had and get things going for our next full episode.
Guys, you can't call me a nerd this time. There was no Excel. This was pictures. Come on.
That was good. And Evan says that you're turning him into with the rage to watch it. So gotta love it. And also the nerd. But we hit our good, bad, the ugly. I do want to get through some listener and viewer ones. Disgruntled sports fan at TowerMad17 on Twitter says, good, the weather the bad, the non-existent offense, the ugly, that late turnover that led directly to the second goal. Evan had good. My takes, of course, Evan's takes are good, and this was in lowercase, so he wasn't yelling. So yeah, we'll take it. Bad, Coach Kano. Ugly, Coach Kano. Course of treatment, fire, Coach Kano. So he's ready with the pitchforks out already. Matt Hands had good, no Darce. Bad, Kano. Ugly, every attacking player. We also had Kevin Poirier on Facebook who said the defensive breakdowns and sloppy cross passes really cost them tonight. I don't want to be that guy not having Jack P on the corner kick or some of those cross passes that were way off when there was a player slicing really stood out to me. Just got to suck it up and keep adjusting until they find the formula that works. I'm ride or die with these guys, and I will have faith in Kano that he'll put it together. So a differing take on that one. And then Don Lindbergh said this game was a big step backwards, poor passing, and the players don't seem to know where their teammates are on the field, as Ryan alluded to a lot. Change the formation. This team does more passing backwards than forwards. I know this is a work in progress, but this is no progress. But it's still great to be on the ground floor of a new team and organization as a whole. We also had Steve Matz, who said not aggressive enough. That was his RIFC and 3 take. Despite the poor play on the pitch, there was one awesome highlight of the evening. This kid who dreams of being a professional keeper got to meet one of his favorites yesterday, and he posted a video of his son meeting Jackson Lee. It's just absolutely awesome stuff there. Scott, what did you have as your 3-word review for this one?
Piss poor performance. It really is. It's just simple as that. None of that was good. I really struggled to take any positives out of it. And we can look at individuals and go, they had a good game considering, but it was all really poor.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I think Frank Nodarce agreed with you. He looked miserable picking up the man of the match performance.
Embarrassed, even, right?
Yeah, he there wasn't a single player that came over that was.
It was him and Clay post match were the two that really stuck out to me as far as their reactions to coming over to the fans and being applauded by the fans.
Yeah, I Clay especially. I felt the same way as Clay, so I appreciated it, but I was shocked how just visibly upset he looked.
I really like Matt Strick's post in the comment. The good Tide Talk, so appreciate you liking the rebrand. Bad the plan, ugly the backup plan, if there was one, I guess, right? So I think
that goes to my RIFC in 3. Mine is what's the plan?
Yeah, yep. On Facebook, Mike Howard said shots on net. We just don't see them. That is his 3-word. Mindful Chimera on Instagram has unbeaten winless streak. We are on a streak of not winning fucking games, and it's getting bad. It's getting ugly.
Well, Matt, did you know that it's been since I started coming on the podcast? My first episode was the Las Vegas win, and then
that's right. And we thought that was going to be a good thing because we brought you on after a win, but we'll have to yell.
We have to reevaluate all of this. Everything we announced tonight might have to go out.
WTM 1970 on Instagram added, "Can we score?" Brian Luch said, "Same old shit," and then added another one with "Still on board though." I gotta go. I had added, we have a note doc that we try to utilize to keep the show in some kind of order, but I gotta go to Twitter because Twitter just absolutely blew up with responses. Thank you, Evan. Scott, yours, I miss Jack, and Jack's presence not being there was definitely felt throughout this one. Kevin's was I left early, as he did on this podcast, but he did leave early, as we mentioned and talked about. Lumberjack_Joe at Lumberjack_JP attacks too predictable. And I think that speaks to what Matt Hand said earlier in the chat, that it's just too slow. The buildup is way too slow. They're able to get more numbers behind the ball and block it out. Mike Money is 14, dazed and confused. Evan at Terminator 0725, Kano's last match. He's ready. He's out there. Craig at CP Jolliker, stop formation experimenting. I think we're all getting a little bit tired of that and doing it mid-game. Darren's Happy Place says a step backwards and added, overall, they were dismal in the final third, only showed a bit of life when it was too late. Matt Hand said, disjointed, disconnected, depressing. Evan, we deserve better. Matt Hands also with the multiple responses. Incredibly anemic attack. Evan, stream off early. Evan again, no more excuses. Evan again, they broke me. Coffee Milk FC, Kano Smith out. Matt Hands again with a gift this time. Figure it out. And Evan, I think the best for last, maybe Limp Dick Energy was the final one we had on there. But thank you for everyone who wrote into that. Like I said, none of the channels are going to change. It's going to be a cosmetic change. Tide Talk, new logo, new name will be up there. But if you're not already, follow all of our social media accounts. Look for our RIFC in 3 posts after each match, and our Good, Bad, and the Ugly. We're keeping both of those segments under the new name. Just want it to get back and up, keep it going within our show. So next up for this RIFC is a quick turnaround. And Kano said it in the post match. There's no time to feel bad or sorry about ourselves, as we're right back in action Wednesday night at 8 p.m. versus the Memphis 901 FC. Memphis has 2 wins in their last 5, 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss. They played Colorado Springs at home this weekend and drew 1-1. We're going to be coming live tomorrow for the away end. So Monday, June 10th. By the way, this is Sunday, June 9th, as we're recording, is happy 6-9 to all of you. Scott celebrates that in September because the UK people do dates backwards, but that's fine. It is what it is.
I'll be honest. I think it makes way more sense the way they do it.
Stop it, you sympathizer! You sympathizer! You're getting thrown in the harbor too. We are on to Memphis. Nate said that. That's a good 3-word to kind of cap it off on this one. Scott, give us your final thoughts, what you're hoping to see, and what you're genuinely excited about with Tide Talk coming to fruition.
I thought you were going to say genuinely excited about for the team, and I was like, I don't know.
I don't have any of those right now. Scott might.
Yeah, me too.
No.
I thought that's what you were asking me. No, I really don't have, other than just changing, other than just actually getting a final third product out there, a little bit more situational awareness and a little bit more of an idea of how we are trying to play the game. That's what I'm looking forward to in the next game. I don't hold out much expectation, I must say. But in terms of Tide Talk, I am all optimism. I think this is going to be amazing. I think we're really going to show a great amount of passion. We're going to be by fans and for fans, which I think is going to be really unique. And the fans are going to have a product that doesn't have any influences. We're only Rhode Island, and we're only here to talk about Rhode Island, the good, the bad, and the ugly, which I think is going to be actually a very positive experience for the club as a whole.
I think as we grow and as we grow on the pitch, we'll be able to change that segment up a little bit, because we definitely have 2 negatives in there. So hopefully we're not always focusing on those 2 negatives, but I think that will grow. I think that will change throughout. How about you, Ryan? What do you got for final thoughts for us?
As always, up the Tide. While we went hard in a lot of things tonight, and there's some very clear issues with this team, this is the first year they are trying to figure it out. And I think some people are maybe questioning some of the team or the locker room. I have yet to see what I feel as though downing tools or the team not giving their full effort. I think everyone out there and everyone in the club really wants to win. You don't see players as like deeply frustrated and deeply distraught if they are not trying their absolute best to figure this out. And I do have optimism that the team, if anything, is going to try their asses off to do so. So, up the Tide, keep it going, boys. And I gonna keep going, keep cheering my ass off, and keep looking for some bright spots here, because I think there are some.
I'm glad you said that. I will never not chant for the team based on results. I will always do that. I'll always cheer for the team. Like you, and to add to what you said, I think it's not at all due to a lack of trying. I don't want any of our takes to come across as that. We know these players are going out there and giving it their all. I think there's just a bit of a breakdown in formation, what's expected and what needs to be done. Square peg, round hole is what I'm going to keep going back to, as we have so many players, that go out there. Kano also said with that whole beating the dead horse thing that there were a lot of players who we've gotten stuff out of and stepped up in previous matches that didn't tonight. That didn't bode well with me. That kind of burns in my frontal lobe, if you will. I think the locker room's starting to get dicey, and obviously I'm not in there. I don't know it. I don't claim to be in there, but I do think that that's something to keep an eye on.
I just struggle with that idea, because I said this a couple episodes ago. The thing that we have done the best at so far is pressing, and that is one of the most taxing things that you can ask players to do, and we haven't seen that fall off. And even just seeing them come over to us last night, they were embarrassed and pissed off, and I just maybe there's some frustration between coach and players or between some of the players.
And
but
I think you saw that with Turnbull in the post match when asked about what side he played on. He was very like, it's a system thing, and I'm gonna play the system. So
yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, this
obviously
is all
that's all reading between the lines.
that's the thing. There's a lot
get
more
your
to
point
come. I
on
mean,
that.
hey, I try to be soft on the whole like, hey, Gabby and Kano kind of got into it on the sideline, and then maybe it's nothing, and then hey, Gabby doesn't play for a couple games, so maybe we are seeing what we're seeing. But yeah, I'm not ready to jump on the like maybe the locker room's fracturing at this point. But hey, more to come. This is a long season. We're about midway through our first year ever, so more to come.
Yeah, a little bit less than midway. So obviously there is still time going on to get all that going, to hopefully right to ship and navigate against the tides, if you will.
Hey, we
but
see a couple goals go in, and all of a sudden tops are going to be flying. So let's do it.
yeah, that's it. We're going to be joined by the 901 Soccer Podcast, covering everything Memphis. It should be a really good show as always. So tune in tomorrow. I believe it's going to be at 7:30 Eastern. I will post that on all of our socials. We're going back and forth on times, but we'll hit you with our way end and kind of what to expect, and if anyone's traveling, give you the lay of the land as far as their stadium. So overall, thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for working through some of the technical difficulties we had. I know we started a little bit late. I know we battled a little bit of audio issues. We'll have that all figured out next time for you and working together. But we'll only go on and upward from there. The tide has changed. The tide is rising. Tide Talk is here. It's here to stay, and we got a really good feel as far as what we're going and what we're trying to accomplish. I already had multiple people send me DMs on the Discord saying they want to be a part of that chant and get into our intro, and how much they love the name, how much they love the rebrand. So thanks you for everyone who reached out already. Definitely really appreciate it. As Nate said, see you guys at the Guild Wednesday night. Tim added Guild on Wednesday. Let's pack the house since they're staying late open for us. So make sure you're at the Guild to watch with the Defiance. I don't know what the club has posted yet. I don't believe they had as far as what their watch party will be. So keep an eye on that as well. We also had Matt Strick saying Forza Tide Talk, and Kevin Callahan, up the fucking tide. And we always like to end it with that one. So that'll wrap things up for this one. Remember, Tide Talk.
Oh, Evan, I was DVRing the game, man. Come on.
Tide Talk is more than just a podcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for daily social media content and engagement. Click that link in this episode description to follow all of our accounts. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm really excited about the direction of this new project, and I think it will only add positives for the Rhode Island FC fan community. I've been your host, Matt, and for my co-hosts, Ryan, Kevin, and Scott, we'll see you next time. And as always, like Kevin said it best, up the fucking tide. Up the tide, baby.
Up the tide.
Up the tide.